Good morning from Tucson, Arizona. I love this hot tub. I'm super thankful for any morning I can start in here. And as you can see, some of the videos start in here too. For me, the hot water, the energy, having a cup of coffee, and then I'm listening to people I want to listen to, and taking this time in the morning for myself, regardless of how busy my day is, or regardless of how much crap I have to do, what's going on, or how I'm feeling. But question of today is, what can you change? Right? I've been in a life stance in the last 8 months to maybe even over a year where I'm kind of just so on pause and on hold and waiting on this thing. I lost my mom, and that was its whole journey in and of itself. And I found, I was almost waiting to feel better to get on with my life. I think too. And so what I've noticed in my life coming up a lot lately is that things and problems and concerns and things I got to deal with are like dominoes, where one is held up by the other, is held up by the other, is held up by the other, so I can't just get them all to flow. And it's kind of funny. This has been a 3-year process with the state of Michigan, if you know me, and I was just reflecting on how long it took me and how this thing stopped me and this thing stopped me and this thing stopped me and just delayed everything, and things are starting to come in and get fixed. And I don't know how to react to it, because there's new things now. There's new problems I got to solve that didn't even exist until I solved the first problems, right? And I think that's life, right, guys? That's what the journey that we're here on Earth, I believe, is for us to learn, grow, overcome obstacles, be stronger, learn how to have joy, those kind of things. Now call me woke, call me foo-foo, call me whatever you want, right? My last video was actually on woke, and it actually, seems like it, provoked thought from you guys. So I'm going to try and keep these under 10 minutes too, but, for me, I think we got to have a little bit of a conversation, longer than a blibbit on a quick thing, to really have conversations with one another. So if I get a little long-winded, forgive me. I'm trying to get, value. What I'm trying to do here, folks, with my channel is help us heart to heart communicate and move forward in our lives as human beings, period. I don't have it all figured out. I do think we've got to come together in our heart space and understand that better in order to communicate with each other better, and therefore in order to do things better in the world, period. I believe this is the best way for collaboration, and I believe collaboration is the only way to get the best outcome because of books. And I don't want to get too far off topic, but I do want to stay on topic by saying, what can we change? Right? Because there is a lot of things I've learned in this last year I cannot change, regardless of how much mindset work, like church I'm going to go to, spirit. There's just certain things, and where I want to start is just emotions and how you feel, the connection with the head, thinking clearly in the heart, in this whole thing of emotions. There's also morality. There's also who am I now with a big loss. And what I want to throw out there to us all is we've lost normalcy. I believe. And here, chime in, correct me where I'm wrong. And I believe almost normalcy is a little bit of a fallacy, or there's no normal. There's no normal. I'm going to put my real estate hat on, and I'm That's where something I think I've put in the hours and seen the results. But if you were going to be my real estate client, I would say there's no normal in any deal. Every single deal I've seen had a problem. Almost every problem's different, you know. So I embraced in real estate the term of no normal, right? And think about human beings. We're going to say one of us is normal. And I was watching, you know, like granted LeBron James is not normal, but I was watching a thing and they showed his feet and his kids were making fun of his feet and how crazy ugly they, you know. So granted LeBron James is not normal, but even LeBron, even one of the best athletes in the world has like deformities and, you know, that's what I'm trying to get at in life. Okay, let's take it all back to say, what can we change? We can change the way we talk. We can change our ability to just let shit slide. We can change the way that we let people act in our presence. And I will use an example that my dad has shared with me. And I hope my family feels and sees what I'm coming from here. And I don't mean to upset anyone, but I do have to be honest, and I do have to have integrity about misgivings of human beings, okay? And I love you, Uncle Mike. I know he made it to the other side, but we're all humans, and Uncle Mike was very, very racist. And he had reasons to be, period, okay? It's understandable. However, when Uncle Mike started to share those views in front of my dad told him, we're not going to call people the N-word. We're not going to lie about things. Mike, I love you, but we're not going to do that in my presence. You can go to your castle and your abode and go down to Alabama and treat folks however you want, apparently is what we're saying to folks, right? However, right? We can change our tone of voice to a calm, late night DJ voice instead of, I'm all triggered and you just said oh my gosh, right? See the difference there? Mike, I love you. All due respect, I'm not going to give you permission to use those kind of words and act like that in my presence. And it was done and never happened again. This is what we all need in America / the world right now. And so it's something that's very uncomfortable, and I don't want to do this. I think I'd go back. I would want to set somebody straight, but I wouldn't do it the right way. I wouldn't do it with this tone of voice. I wouldn't do it with an open heart. And that's the big part of all of this, I believe, that we're all struggling with. I know I am, is when I get angry and I close my heart, what Chris Voss says is we start to take ourselves hostage with our emotions. And all we can do, I believe, with this world we live in is just first step is become aware. You are a human being. The love and everything you deserve has nothing to do with the actions that you have taken in your life. I promise you. You are deserving of love. You're deserving of forgiveness. I don't care who it is deserving of a second chance. And we in America, I believe we believe that. But our hearts are not open to each other. For what? I mean, it could take one thing to trigger us. Two things to trigger us. And what I've found, it used to take a few more than one or two things to trigger us into acting like fools, to not acting like ourselves. Now it takes one or two because we're so wound up. We don't have a whole lot of people. I haven't bumped into, and I would love for you to share content with me, with people using these kind of tone of voice, calming things down. I agree with there's problems. I agree with, we probably, when we start talking about politics, I guarantee we more agree than disagree. I guarantee it. And so why are we so divided? Because one by one, we've lost a little bit of a grip on our heart strings and the connection between our head and our heart. And one or two things make us angry, triggered, negative. I disagree. I'll tell you one thing that I've noticed that I do when it comes to government, politics, how to solve a problem, is there could be, I'm going to go do these 18 things and they all suck. But there's one really good idea in there, right, that I really agree with. But you're on that side, I'm on this side. I don't have literally oftentimes the ability to even identify that one good idea that you had because all of the 17 ones I didn't agree with. And how do we come to an agreement on something right now, right? The only way to come to an agreement on something right now is to open up our hearts and minds and talk through your idea, my idea, your concern, my concern. I don't see where that happens very much effectively at all. It is, I have control. I'm going to vie for control. I can do what I want. I'm going to listen to you, maybe or maybe not. But I don't need to listen to you because I have all the control. Right? What has that resulted in? I feel I've never felt in my adult life more out of control, period, across the board, from government to business to the like, I'll tell you what, the DMV in Michigan compared to the DMV in Arizona, I would be ashamed of myself if I worked for the DMV in Michigan. I would tell you that. And you know what? I can legally say this now without repercussions. Shame on you folks who run the state of Michigan. Straight up shame on you. Like, we'll get into that next time, okay? And I don't want to, you can see how I get off track. Because it's so nuts that nobody has this ability in leadership to calm down, listen to the other side, get the best out of the other side too. That is what I'm going to really throw out there is the point of head and heart coherence. It's the only way to get the best outcome, folks, over the long term, sustainably, with other human beings. If you want to do it alone and you're the only one, like Jeff Bezos or billionaire, those guys probably do it alone. How happy are they? How happy are you, Jeff Bezos, with all your money? How happy are you, Elon Musk, with all your money and all your kids? And are those the people that we would show my nieces and nephews as great human beings, as great Americans, as act like them? Right? In our leadership, on both sides, act like them. I don't see it. They're just blaming each other. A leader doesn't blame. A leader takes responsibility. A leader galvanizes everybody to go in the same direction. A leader does not blame the other side. You know why? Let's take out the word leader. Why not? Why is it unhelpful, unstrategic, and dumb to blame the other side? Because you're pointing here, I'm a victim then. If they're to blame, I'm a victim, which takes away my ability to solve the problem. If I'm just sitting here and a victim, right? And trust me, I have been a victim zero. Why? Because my mother trained me to never be a victim. This has gone a little bit too far. Because I've learned that I don't give myself grace. I get amped up and mad at myself, right? But let's go back to what can we change to really impact our day-to-day life and all those around us. How we talk, our heart and our head coherence to keep that calm, together, not angry, and asking, who is Harley? I don't want to be angry. Who is Harley? I do know. I am just here to help folks. I am here to leave this earth better than what I found it. And that seems like a great life to me. Have I been an ass? Have I been a jerk? Have I been not the best self? Of course. Can I fly off the handle? Of course. That's why it's upon me, not you, upon me to handle my own emotions and handle all this being human stuff to have the best outcome with the rest of the world here. And it all starts with us. We must take personal responsibility on what we are doing and what we can change prior to all of the rest. And you're not a victim. You're not here on earth for anything but a good reason, I believe, too. So we'll get into religion. We'll get into spiritual stuff later. But just keep asking yourself the question, what can I change? And the quickest and easiest and hardest thing all at the same time is your mind. But what I can say is, say something nice or don't say it at all. And I hope that when I'm correct and I'm done hearing all the misinformation and lies and all the bullshit out there, I'm going to chat GPT, Google it, or whatever, find some results and say, nope, this is not correct. And what I've seen, it's like 8 out of 10 of these things are not correct. But look at the 2 things. Aren't they great? What about the lies? What's the need? Leave it with this. Chris Voss, some of the best books in the world, including the Bible, say this: you don't need to lie. You don't need to do it. I didn't say moral, right? I suggest morality. You lie, you start to have your own little hell you live in. But tactically, you go out there, you show me where it says anywhere in human history that in negotiations, communications, and leadership, it's good to lie. It's okay to lie. Or it's even in a manual somewhere, right? That's what I really don't understand so much in the world we live in now, is that we have people that are, they don't have any facts in their head that what they're saying out of their mouth is actually true. They think it's true. They speculate. They may have $1 million in their pocket, so they just think all their ideas are great or true. How good of integrity is that? What can you stand on when you absolutely don't know? And you know what? How are you going to find out the truth? Might need to trust somebody else, right? So, that's where I'm going to leave this one. We've got to be able to figure out how to trust each other again. Only thing I trust in right now is that you're a human being. So, if you're a human being, and I use what all these books and all the best knowledge over the course of human history says, how to treat, talk, negotiate, communicate with human beings, that's what I'm going to do and try to do with myself, with my family, and with you. Because I see, and we all know, it gets the best outcome. And if you want to see what happens when you don't know how to negotiate, don't know how to talk, don't know how to communicate, look where we're sitting right now. We have more online platforms than ever. We have more there's more information right here at my fingertip than there ever has been. And nobody's listening. Nobody has the ability to take on new information, admit they're wrong, and change their mind and move forward. That's how business works. That's how growth works. But we're all wanting, it seems to me, go backwards in our mindset. Anyway, my 10-minute video went longer. I can assure you, things need to change. And the only thing I can suggest that we have control over is ourselves. And once I started really focusing on myself and how my brain was causing me to worry or doing all this kind of things, it's a real practice in this world too, guys. There's energies out there that are nuts and they're coming in. And so developing a sound mind and heart involves disconnecting, I found, from everybody. Go for a walk. I've had to sit on the couch and listen to meditations. My back went out. I wasn't able to do very much physical stuff. But nothing's getting easier when it comes to mindset. Nothing's getting easier when it comes to talking to people and communicating. And nothing's getting solved. Everything's getting a little bit more crazy, it seems to me. And so in order to combat all that, we got to start to develop some of these inner, work elements I found. And call me frou-frou. I'd have these conversations with my mom, and I encourage her to pray more, But being isolated and fighting people is not the answer. And also sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich and just not really calling people out when you know they're wrong. The whole thing's got to change. We got to start standing up for ourselves and standing up for what we know is not right. And you don't have to sympathize. It's called empathy, not sympathy. Understand where they're coming from. The only way you're going to get to an empathy state of mind and an empathy point of view from somebody else is if you stay calm and talk like this. If we start yelling and arguing, and Facebook is not a good venue for this at all, I've found. That's why I'm doing my videos and just sending it out there, because I see some stuff on Facebook that's straight racist, and it's like, it makes me want to reach out and smack somebody. But anyway, if you're my family, I love you. And I hope we disagree, because I learn from you guys. I know what I think, so I need new points of view. And I have learned a lot about religion and, and politics point of view. And that's why I know, folks, we've got to stop championing whoever our leadership is and start championing ourselves and our own viewpoints and each other and our morality. And we all have to call out what we know to be a lie or a mistruth or a not answer the question. Just demand they answer a yes or no question. And what does that imply if they can't? Right? So, love you all. Remember, you can change your tone of voice. You can change the look on your face. You can not say anything and smile. There's so many things you can do to change this world. Let's try and leave it better than we found it too. Love you all.